I've got two absolute legends on today. Marina Simone, Bryn Lang in the house. We're so excited. We're going to help you get your mindset right. We're going to help you get your marketing right. We're going to help you get your money right. And we're going to give you some really exciting insights. Listen, for those of you that don't know Marina and Bryn, they're literally two of the most successful network marketers on the planet. And it's one thing to be successful, like, okay, cool, you're successful. What I love about the two of them is they're freaking brilliant. They've built a massive brand and they've built a massive business. So they're not like retired. They're not just coaching and training, but they do a lot of that. And they've built this massive organization. I know both of you, all three of us, have so much we could share, but we want to really get down to the nitty gritty with what's most important, right? Because building a business like this is not easy, but gosh, is it worth it if you take it seriously. Now we're going to get into some good stuff, but also understand that this is not something that's get rich quick. It's just get rich eventually. You know what I'm saying? So Bryn or Marina, I don't know who wants to start off with this, but let's talk about these 5 most important mindsets to have to be most successful. And I want to start off with coachability, right? Being coachable. If you want to build a business and you're looking to be successful, it makes sense to follow others that have laid the path. So I don't know which one of you wants to take this first, but I'm excited to talk about coachability and the importance.
Let's just be honest. Like, I'm going to throw this out there, like right at the beginning, because I think that this is one of the most important things that I think that people need to understand when they are starting something new. We all start at suck. Okay. Like every single one of us started at suck. Here we go again. You hear John's story, right? Like he talks about how he had no idea what he was doing, right? You hear Marina's story, no idea what she was doing. You hear my story, no idea what we were doing. Okay. And I'll be honest, I wasn't super coachable at first because I kind of had a little bit of an ego. I don't know about y'all, but like, I kind of thought I was like the bee's knees. Like I was just going to come in and I was just going to crush it. And I was just going to make ish happen because that's just kind of the person that I am. And guess what? I suck balls. Okay. We all start at suck. Like literally it took me 6 months to get my first business partner in network marketing, you guys. 6 whole months. Now there may be some of you on here that it's been longer. There may be some of you on here who got your first one right away. But here's the thing. I wasn't coachable. Okay. I came into a business that had a proven system that duplicated. I did not follow the system. Okay. I did what Bryn Lang wanted to do, which means I had to wait 6 months to get my first business partner. So understand this. We're all going to start at suck. When you first get started, you are not going to have the proper skills in order to create the success that you want. The problem is most people quit long before they actually learn the skills. Okay. So one of the biggest things that you need to be when you start a business, and if you're on here and maybe you've been in business for 5 years, 10 years, however long it's been, start over like it's your first day if you haven't been coachable. If your team, if your upline has a proven system that duplicates, you need to follow that system. If you're not coachable, you are not going to create what you want to create.
I definitely want to chat about belief, but I'm going to echo everything you said. I came in with an ego, and that's why I failed for 2 years, meaning I just didn't have results. I grew personally in those 2 years, but not because I wanted to. I was fighting it. It was like 2 magnets the wrong way, trying to go at each other. And that was literally my story of why I failed for 2 years. So stop fighting the people that are trying to help you. Instead, embrace what they're trying to show you. There's a difference.
How many of you buy course after course, you watch training after training, and you hear what you should do, but you never actually apply it? Okay. There are so many people out there who they go down the rabbit hole of all the trainings and all the things, but how often do you get off of that training and then go take action on something that you learned? That's coachability. And if you're not willing to do that, you will not create anything.
A lot of people get involved in this space and, they're what I like to call uncontrollable. That was me. Definitely, like you said, chip on my shoulder, a little bit of an ego, and your ego ain't your amigo. What weighs more, your ego or your bank account? You know what I'm saying? But I had a mentor in those early years, and thank God I became coachable because I wasn't seeing the results. And the real reason I wasn't coachable is because it wasn't comfortable. It was really uncomfortable, like
Amen.
reaching out to people
Yeah.
and having conversations about this new business that, you know, and we're going to get into belief. Number two, I didn't have a lot of belief. I didn't have a lot of confidence. I had very little knowledge, no background. So it was hard for me, but she would say to me, excuses or results. You're either making money or you're making excuses. Choose wisely. And I wanted to make money. So every time I would come to her with an excuse, she's like, you can make money, make excuses. I'm like, oh gosh. And then eventually, once I became coachable and I had the right mentorship, I feel bad for people that don't have mentorship. They don't have someone they can reach out to and someone that's coaching them and giving them the guidance, because that I needed that so much. I needed to borrow her confidence. I needed to borrow her belief in me because I didn't see that in myself. And getting into number two, which is belief, Marina, I want you to start with this one because I think it really is the foundation to building a significant business.
Yeah. I mean, I had to borrow the belief of people that were in and around me, right? Like, I didn't believe I could make millions of dollars. I didn't believe that I could, you know, build a successful network marketing business. I didn't believe that anybody would ever want to follow me or join me. So even though I wanted these things, I didn't believe that they could happen. And it wasn't until I borrowed belief from those around me and started like little by little building a smaller amount of belief, like with confidence. So let me give you an example. Even today I do this, by the way, because I still get nervous with the follow-up. I still get nervous if people are going to ghost me. I still get that pit in my stomach. It's hilarious. But I believe in this industry. I believe in what it can do. And so before I had this story that, by the way, I don't ever try to bring someone into my business with my story of how much money I make or what I've bought or the jewelry that I have, like none of that. I don't like the jets because I don't fly on jets anyway, one day, but I don't use that, right? I use the little things. And so let's say I share my story and John listens to it. That's a win. He listened to my story. I build a little bit of belief and a little bit of confidence on that. Then I invite John to an ATM group, or I invite John to a video to watch and he watches that video. That builds a little bit more belief in me, like, oh, this system works. Okay. Then I ask John, you know, if he'll do a 3-way chat or if he'll look at whatever. I'm building my belief every single time I'm taking action. And then I'm going to go take more action with that belief and confidence I've built in those small moments. I still do the same thing today because we can say like we have all this belief, but one rejection can crush it, right? One rejection can stop it. We've got to remind ourselves, go back to the basics and build that belief day by day, brick by brick. And I promise you, you'll see the changes.
You know, the thing is that most people's beliefs are limiting beliefs. How many of you guys have heard, you know, I think you call it an allegory, the story, whatever, the elephant tied to the fence. There's this little baby elephant, and he's tied to this fence. And every day, this elephant, he tries so hard to get away from this fence. He tries so hard to get away from this fence. Well, eventually he stops trying because he can't get away. But one day, this little baby elephant grows into this massive, big, huge, just amazingly beautiful elephant. But he just sits there day after day after day, tied to that fence, because when he was a baby, it was put in his head that he couldn't get away from that fence. So although all that elephant would have to do is literally take like 2 steps and he would knock that freaking fence down, right? He stays there for the rest of his life and believes that he cannot get away. So the first step, I really believe, is awareness of what your limiting beliefs are. And if you haven't like gotten really quiet with yourself and really asked yourself, like, what are the things that I'm telling myself every day? Like, what are the thoughts that I'm thinking? What are the things that I'm speaking over myself? What are the things that were poured into me as a child? Because that's generally where our limiting beliefs come from. In fact, I just read this in a book last week that by the time we're in our mid-30s, 95% of our life is lived subconsciously. Think about this, you guys, okay? And you want to know why? Because our brain is working on programs that were developed over time, starting when we're young. Think about your day every day. You get out of bed the same way. You brush your teeth the same way. You drive to work the same way. You think about your spouse the same way. You speak to your kids the same way. You speak to yourself the same way. And if you're living 95% of your life in a subconscious state, how are you supposed to change your beliefs? Okay. So it starts with awareness on what those limiting beliefs are, and literally starting to be aware of your thoughts, your habits, your patterns, because those are the things that have to change if you want to truly change your belief.
You know, it's a lack mindset, right? A lot of people have that scarcity mentality instead of having an abundant mentality, that even if you get 100 no's in a row or your whole team quits, there's so many more people out there than there are people that are rejecting you, saying no to you, quitting on you. And you just have to not quit on yourself. You got to boss up, man. You are the CEO of your life, of your business. And all of you watching this have so much unlocked potential. You have so much unlocked potential, but it's just like, you know, you're the one with the key. Like, it's like you're the one holding yourself back because you think you need to know it all. You think you should be further ahead, instead of switching off that mindset and saying, you know what? Instead of me focusing on like what I don't have or how I'm not, none of us are ever where we want to be, right? And then one day, you can't believe how far you've come because you understand, like, okay, this is why it took so long. Like, I have so much gratitude for my last company getting shut down. I didn't the day it happened, certainly not the next day, right? Lost a paycheck, lost a business that I built. But looking back, blessing in disguise, right? Left another company in 2013. They came after me legally. I mean, it was brutal. It was nasty. It was an ugly situation. But like, all of the stuff that happened prior to where I'm at now put me on this path. And I just think it's easy to say it now when the three of us look back and look at our life in reverse, but you have to faith it till you make it. And then that gets into number 3, which is consistency. How many of us struggle with consistency, right? I don't know what to do every day. I'm confused. I don't know what to post. I don't know what to say to people. How many of us struggle with just showing up on a daily basis? You're like, man, if I had John's energy and passion, if I had Marina's, wit and brilliance, if I had Bryn's tenacity and charisma, like, I could be like them. Well, guess what? These are all developed skills. We created these skills over time. We created our business. We created our brand. We did all the things. Took time, consistently getting better.
You can't talk to the same people consistently. You can't do the same things consistently.
Well, that goes right back to what John said. It's the lack mindset.
It is.
Oh, I got 5 people that want.
Yeah, so you keep following
maybe
up
want
the
this
same 5
same
people
ones
for 2 years. That's what's happening. And I'll tell you, that was the biggest thing for me. I was doing all the work. I want to know from you right now, be honest. Have you been doing all the work? Doing all the work with this, like, I got it done. I talked to my 5 people today. They're the same 5 people you talked to last week. That doesn't count. Okay. Like, and I did that. I talked to the same 30 people for 2 years. I didn't want to listen. I didn't want to talk to new people. So if you're going to be consistent and you think that being consistent means just being consistent with like the same 3 actions every day, dude, you are going to not win. I promise you, it ain't going to happen, boo-boo. But here's a piece of it I want you to understand. I know you're scared to take that next little step. I know you're scared of that next little consistency piece, because then it is change. This is what I got tattooed when I was 19. I hate change. And something new made me so uncomfortable that my palms would get ridiculously sweaty. And then my armpits would start sweating like I was this weekend before I got on stage. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to throw up. And then I walk away. Okay. And then I'll just go back to what hasn't been working because it's easy. And at least I'm saying I'm doing something. No, boo-boo. Like, that just isn't going to work. You've got to take that little bit step. Eventually, you'll be able to take such big steps and strides that you're going to run and sprint, and none of it's going to freaking feel like it used to. But you've got to start challenging your nervous system into just doing it. And I know it's hard because it still rocks me today, but you've got to do it. You've got to do it.
Man, I love this topic. It's probably like my favorite thing to talk about. Those of you who know me, like, consistency is my jam. And it really, truly is one of the things that most people lack. And I really feel like Marina just kind of hit the nail on the head. I think more so the lack of consistency is it's fear. It's fear of change. And so I want you to ask yourself right now, I want you to think about it. Like, I want you to think about today in your business, like right now. And I want you to really ask yourself, okay, like how many people are like interested in my products right now? How many people are interested in my business right now? How many people have I ATM'd maybe in the last few days or put in front of a video? Okay. And I want you to hear this because it's really important. The results that you are getting right now is a direct reflection of what yo butt was doing or not doing 90 days ago. Okay. You are on a perpetual 90-day cycle. And I'm going to give you some really good news. First, I'm going to give you a really good example. And the first time I heard it, it was literally what changed everything for me when it came to consistency. How many of you love microwave popcorn? I'm a pig. I love me some food. Like I literally live my life for food. My husband told me that I would literally run my child over for a sandwich. Like he really told me that because I love me some food. Okay. But I want you to think of a bag of microwave popcorn. Okay. You take this bag of microwave popcorn, you put it in the microwave and you're like, I'm gonna have me some popcorn. Okay. Let's say it takes 3 minutes to pop this bag of popcorn. Okay. I want you to think about that 3 minutes in 30-day segments of your business. Let's say today is the day you start and you're going to be consistent. Okay. You put that bag of microwave popcorn in the microwave and you start popping it. What is happening when that bag is popping in the first minute? Nothing. Not a single pop pops in that first minute. That microwave is working hard though, right? That's what your first 30 days of consistency is most likely going to look like. Well, think about the second minute of that popcorn popping. You might get a little pop, pop here and there, right? But you're really not getting a whole lot of action. That microwave is still working just as hard in that second minute as it was working in the first. Now, what happens in the third minute of that microwave popcorn popping? It's like pop, 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 pop. It's like you're smelling the popcorn and you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I finally get to eat it and watch my Netflix. And it's just like amazing, right? Like you're so excited. That's what happens in that third 30-day segment. Okay. So here's where the news is really good, you guys. I don't want you to think about this. Once you get through your first 90 days of consistency, it's like this hamster wheel. Once you stay on that hamster wheel and you don't hop off and you keep being consistent, your popcorn pops every single day. Okay. There's not a day that I guarantee you that John, Marina, or myself don't have at least some person interested in our products or in our business every single day because we have been staying on that hamster wheel of consistency over time. So I love what Marina said. You don't have to do all the things every single day. If like you don't know what to do or you're feeling overwhelmed or you're like fearful of doing something, start with one thing. Do one thing consistently for like 3 days and then add another thing in 3 days later and do both things. Over time, the compound effect kicks in and then you start to see the results.
We want that instant gratification, but like I don't get instant gratification. We like, look, it's consistency. And that's something that I've had to accept when it comes to, healthy weight loss and blah, blah. You got to be consistent with eating good stuff. You got to be consistent, but your body also needs to be shocked to level up.
You have to also manage your expectations. Like, especially when you first start a new business, a lot of us come into it and we're like, I'm going to crush it. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. And everybody's going to want my products because they're so amazing, right? Like that's the kind of excitement most people start their business with. And they hear a couple no's or, they actually have to post on the social medias or whatever. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is really scary. So one of the things that I like to tell people to do, embrace the suck. Right? Like if you go into something with your expectations that it's going to be hard, you're much less likely to quit. So I'm really glad that you brought that up, Marina. Embrace the suck, y'all.
That's right. That's right. The first time I ever heard the popcorn analogy, I remember the guy was also saying most people, what they do is they keep opening up the microwave and checking on it. Meaning in business, right? In their business, they're like, it's kind of like working out, right? I've been working out a lot and it's like, it's not that obvious, but I've been doing it consistently. And when I went in for my 1-year checkup, we do this 1-year deal, I was like a little bit less body fat and a little bit more muscle in a year. It's not that obvious if you look at it every day. If you try to go in front of the mirror, right? You first start working out, you first start doing a regimen, whatever, get in shape. If you're like every day and you're getting like discouraged because you're like, gosh, I worked out so hard today. Why don't I look different than yesterday or even a week ago, 2 weeks ago, right? You're going to get discouraged, but you got to think long-term. You have to have that long-term vision. And if you keep starting and stopping, or you keep opening up the microwave drawer, it ain't going to pop. Nothing's going to pop because you're not letting it bake long enough. So that gets us into number 4. You have to become this very important thing, and that is solution oriented. A lot of people are very good at identifying problems. The bigger the problems, the bigger the paychecks. You know what I'm saying? So just be okay with there being some problemos. It's literally the difference in average and savage, that mentality, right? Going from, riding the struggle bus and woe is me and all the things I don't have and all the problems. It's easy to point out problems. Losers can point out problems all day long. But the people that make the most money, remember, as entrepreneurs, we solve problems for profits. Bigger the problem, bigger the paycheck.
John has problems. Marina has problems. I have problems. We all have problems. Okay. We all are humans. You're not going to have every day hunky dory, like life's amazing, tough titty, said the big fat kitty. Okay. Like we all have problems. So here's what I want you guys to understand. What you focus on, you make more of. When you're aware, you can hold captive every thought. It doesn't mean you're not going to think something, but you can go, you know what? I like to think of a little fly swatter. Like if I think a thought that I don't like, I'll whack that thing like a fly and then I replace it with another thought, right? So you have to start doing that because what happens is what you focus on, you're going to create more of. Now, we're all going to have problems. And just like John said, the bigger the business, sorry, y'all, sorry to tell you, but the bigger the business means the more people that you have to, help every single day, the more problems you're going to have. And they are looking to you to teach them how to be problem solvers, because it is not a normal human trait to focus on positivity and to focus on being solution oriented. We are not built that way. So we have to teach ourselves how to be that way. And as you become a leader, it's your job, because they're always watching you. They watch how you react to things. They watch how, if you get emotional to things or not. They watch how you handle conversations, how you handle difficulties. And with everything that you do and you say, they are literally forming their experience of how they should then go and handle problems. So if you're a leader on here, let me just tell you, you better not be reactive. You better not be emotional. And you better always make sure that when you're handling problems, you're focusing on positivity. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't listen and hear people and let them vent for 1 minute. Right? But then you need to teach them how to go, okay, so here's the problem. Give me 3 ways to make a solution. It's
always a matter of like, did I learn something from this? What am I meant to learn from this? Like, it's having that mentality of like, I'm either winning or I'm learning. It's a growing process. And I failed my way to the top, and I grew through things, through that adversity. And I look back and I go, I'm actually glad that happened. And I'm glad that happened. And if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have done this thing. And I wouldn't have, right? It's just a mentality. It's a mindset of a successful person. And for some of you, it might be the foundation to why you aren't doing the other 4 and why you don't have the mindset we're talking about.
Why don't you start with this one, John? You sold the vision to me.
Yeah. It's so hard when you're new to have the vision. And we talked about that in the beginning, right? Having that long-term vision. But the longer you do this, the more you start to build up the confidence, the belief, not just the belief in your company or, network marketing, but the belief in yourself. And eventually for me, it was like, as I started to impact other people and you start to get that like positive reinforcement, you start to essentially identify potential, encourage potential, which by the way, as a leader, that's our job, right? To identify and encourage potential. But over time, you start to build up that confidence, that belief, and you start to have a vision for yourself and for your life of what you could do and what you could become. And a lot of that has to do with environment. A lot of that has to do with who you're hanging out with, because I didn't have a lot of vision. In fact, the reason I was so into living for the present or really living for the weekend. I know, Marina, you and I can relate to this, right? I was bored. The reason I partied all the time and I got drunk all the time and did drugs and got in fist fights all the time, I was just bored with my life. I had no vision, no direction. And I really, I sometimes get a little emotional just thinking about it, because like, if I didn't find network marketing at 20 years old, it scares me to think what my life would have become, because I had a lot of friends die from suicide, drug overdoses, drinking and driving, end up in jail. I went to jail for 10 days for second degree assault. Like, it was brutal, man. Like, I was headed down a bad path, faux show. And I saw network marketing and I was like, for the first time in my life, I was like, wow, they said you could be from Yale or jail. And what's crazy now is what I make in a week is what I would make in like 5, 6, 7 years as a waiter.
The two people that are here with me today, Marina and John, are the two people I talk to the most every single day. Well, it's no wonder that I can have this amazingly awesome, crazy big vision for the future and what I'm creating for my family. I have constantly surrounded myself with these two people that play big, that are doing big things, that are making big impact, that are serving really, really big. They're showing up like in this way that other people don't show up. It's no wonder that I started to show up that way too. So if I look back over the years that, I've spent as an entrepreneur, like, I can see the pivotal moment of when things changed for me. And it was about 4.5 years ago, I realized that the people I was surrounding myself with were really negative, right? Like the things that were coming out of my mouth and the thoughts that I was thinking every day were really negative. I was living in that frustration station on a daily basis. And when I became aware of the way that I was thinking and the people that were pouring into me and the things and the patterns and the habits that I had created around myself, I stepped back and I went, holy crap, dude. No wonder I'm not where I want to be. And so even though I thought it was so corny, I made a vision board, right? Like, I cut some stuff out of a magazine, and then I started listening to podcasts. I started going on YouTube and listening to people. And I started actually like taking time during the day, not only to, write out my gratitude, but write out my gratitude for the future. Instead of like writing out the gratitude for now, I started writing about the things that were already happening in the future and starting to envision these things. And over the last 4 years, I've literally been able to create one thing after another, after another, after another, after another that were on my vision board. But once again, it goes back to that awareness of who are the people that are around you. Who are you allowing to speak into you? How are you speaking to yourself? You can't create a big, massive, amazingly beautiful vision of your future if those are the things that are pouring into you on a daily basis.